There is a specific kind of exhaustion that has nothing to do with sleep. You achieve something. You get the thing you were working toward, the relationship, the job, the moment of recognition you told yourself would finally make you feel okay. And, for a brief second, maybe a day, maybe an hour, it does. And then it's gone. And you are back in the same place you started, quietly, persistently, uncomfortably convinced that you are not quite enough. Not enough for the life you want, not enough for the people you love, not enough for the version of yourself you can see, but somehow never reach. And you have been chasing the feeling of enough your entire life. You just didn't know that's what you were chasing. Because nobody told you the chase itself was the proof you had already lost. Let me show you what's actually happening. In the first years of your life, your brain was building a map, not a map of the world, a map of you. Specifically, a map of whether you, as you are safe to be, whether your needs are reasonable, whether your presence is welcome, whether you are the kind of thing the world receives or the kind of thing the world tolerates. This map was built from data. The data of how often you were responded to when you cried, whether affection was consistent or conditional, whether you had to perform, be good, be quiet, be impressive, be small to receive love, whether the people around you treated your existence as a given or as something you had to justify. Every interaction in those early years was a data point. And your nervous system synthesized all of it into one core conclusion. A conclusion so early, so deep, so pre-verbal that you cannot remember forming it. You can only feel it, running beneath everything. The quiet conviction that you are not quite enough as you are. This is what psychology calls an attachment wound. And it is not a personality flaw, it is a survival adaptation. When a child's environment communicates, even subtly, even unintentionally, that love is conditional on performance, the child's nervous system makes a rational adjustment. It concludes that the self, as it is insufficient to secure connection. And it builds a strategy. Work harder, achieve more, be more agreeable, take up less space, anticipate what others need before they ask, never stop improving, because improvement is the only thing standing between you and abandonment. That strategy kept you safe once. It is destroying you now. Here is the neuroscience. When the nervous system operates from a baseline of unworthiness, the threat detection system stays partially activated. The amygdala, your brain's alarm center, treats the possibility of not being enough as a survival threat, equivalent to physical danger. And in response, the body releases cortisol, chronically, not in spikes, continuously, at low levels that are almost imperceptible on their own but devastating over time. Chronic cortisol suppresses the immune system. It impairs memory consolidation. It shrinks the hippocampus, the region responsible for context and perspective. It keeps the prefrontal cortex, the part of you that can reason, reflect, and choose, partially offline. Which means the person running on a worthiness wound is making decisions from a threat state, not from wisdom, not from values, from fear dressed up as ambition, from avoidance dressed up as drive, from the desperate arithmetic of never quite arriving. And here is the cruelest part. The achievements don't fix it. They can't. Because the wound is not in the gap between where you are and where you want to be. The wound is in the belief that the gap exists at all, that there is something fundamentally incomplete about you that external accomplishment can fill. Every time you achieve something and the feeling doesn't last, that is not evidence that you haven't achieved enough. That is evidence that achievement was never the variable. The nervous system that believes it is not enough will find evidence for that belief at every level of success, because it is not processing reality. It is confirming a map. There is a concept in neuroscience called neuroception, coined by Porges. It describes the nervous system's continuous, unconscious scanning of the environment for cues of safety or danger. And here is what matters for you. A nervous system trained in an environment where love was conditional develops a neuroceptive bias. It is calibrated to find threat, to find the cue that confirms you are not enough, to register criticism loudly and praise quietly, to discount positive feedback as temporary and treat negative feedback as the truth finally surfacing. This is not pessimism. This is a nervous system doing exactly what it was trained to do, finding what it learned to look for. Now go deeper. Every spiritual tradition that has ever looked seriously at human suffering has located the root of it in the same place, not in circumstances, not in what you have or don't have, in the belief that you are separate from what you fundamentally are, that there is a self here that is incomplete. That needs to become something in order to be worthy of existence. Every anxiety driven by not enoughness is built on this premise, that you are, at base, a deficiency that must be corrected. That worthiness is something you earn rather than something you are, and every tradition, without exception, says the same thing in response. That premise is false, not aspirationally false, structurally false. The thing looking out through your eyes right now, the awareness that is reading these words, that is feeling this discomfort, that has been running this exhausting race, that thing is not incomplete. It never was. The sense of lack is real, the actual lack is not. So what changes this? Because insight alone doesn't. You can understand this completely and still wake up tomorrow feeling not enough. The map is not in the intellect, it is in the body. It has to be changed where it lives. First, learn to recognize the feeling in your body, not the thought, the feeling. Where does not enough live in you physically? Chest tightness, throat constriction, a specific kind of restlessness. Learn its texture, because the moment you can feel it without immediately reacting to it, without immediately trying to fix it through achievement or approval or self-criticism, you have created a gap. And in that gap, something new becomes possible. Second, interrupt the confirmation loop. When you receive positive feedback, stay with it for 30 seconds before your mind finds the reason to discount it. When something goes well, write it down before the next problem absorbs your attention. You are not lying to yourself. You are correcting for a systematic bias in your neuroception. You are manually adding data your nervous system was trained to ignore. Third, find the original equation. Somewhere early, you learned that love plus conditions equals safety. That is the equation running your life, and it is not yours. It was handed to you by people who were handed it by their people. Who got it from theirs? Nobody sat down and decided to teach you that you were not enough. They were too busy believing it about themselves. The wound travels. It has been traveling for a long time. You can be the one who stops it here, because here is the final thing. You have never actually been not enough. You have been a person who was taught to feel that way. And a person who was taught something can learn something else. Not overnight, not without resistance, but completely. The nervous system that learned unworthiness in relationship can unlearn it in relationship. Every interaction where you allow yourself to be seen as you are and find you are still received is a new data point, one that contradicts the map, and maps update slowly, persistently, with enough contradictory evidence. They update. You are not the wound. You are the one who has been carrying it, and you can put it down. See you.